Welcome to the SNHU podcast. My name is Giovanni. I am coming to you after the Super Bowl for all of those that watched it last night. That was an awesome game. Awesome game. But this is the SNHU podcast. Again, I am Giovanni and I am a freshman at SNHU Online. And what I'm going to go over this week is Module 6, and this is week 6 of IT-145. And so I want to tell you a couple of things that we need to talk about for this week, where I think your focus should be. My classwork for this class was late. As you guys know, as I talked about in the last podcast, I did start a new job. And so all of last week, I was focusing my time in on making sure that my work was done and getting benefits and those type of things all squared away. I did not get to my homework. So as usual, we'll go through where we are grade wise and what's going on. So as it stands for grades right now, I am at an A minus. I'm at 584 points out of 635. So far, so good with the classwork and being able to keep up with it. And now in Module 6, here is what I think you should focus on, at least for this week. All right, so I would work backwards if you are comfortable doing JavaScript, or at least finding you can do some code and debugging. That's what this really is going to focus in on this week, is really understanding how to handle bugs inside of your code, which for me wasn't really a big issue because that was really how I started to learn the code, was debugging other people's code and finding out spaces and issues with that. So let's talk about this week. So you're going to have, as usual, you're going to have your Zybooks participation activities and your lab activities. For your lab activities this week, you have the 6.6 parsing strings, okay? That was a bit of a challenge in parsing strings. I'm not really strong in that, so I struggled with it, but I did find some resources. YouTube is going to be a good friend of yours, and so is Udemy. If you have never used, I'm sure you use YouTube, but maybe you haven't gone to Udemy, would recommend it. Highly recommend a class on JavaScript. It'll give you a lot of support in this particular project. I don't use the instant feedback tool. Doesn't mean that you can't. If you're putting and submitting something and you need feedback on your project, I usually just shoot and do my project immediately. So let's talk about that project. This is not really a quote unquote, and I'm doing air quotes for those that are listening to the podcast. This 6.3 assignment, validating user input and debugging, that is basically what you're going to do is you're going to be giving a file, and it is you're going to be submitting, it's called a paint1 file. And you're basically going through, I'm showing, for those that are on the YouTube channel, I am showing specifically the information that you will have to go through. And as it states here, you're going to submit a completed paint1 Java file. Do not forget that. I would spend my time this week knocking these out in this particular order. So for 6, I would work on my little assignment that I need to do. I would start a part of that just writing your code, maybe Monday, Tuesday. Definitely Tuesday, Wednesday, I would knock out your lab activities and your Zybook participation. Reason why that's important is because when you go to Zybooks, you'll see something very unique, okay? So by this time, you should be quite comfortable with Zybooks and how you get your way around it, okay? In 6, you have a total of 15 chapters that you will need to go through. Now, being able to do that for a 7-day period of time, okay, that's about 2 chapters per day if you're just going to break it down that way. So I would just start on Monday, start your beginning of your code, and also do your maybe 6.1, 6.2, and just keep progressing throughout the day. If you have something like I did, where you're going to have a major event that's coming, you may end up doing this on the weekend. So don't fear if that is the issue and you need to do that, do it. But I will say this much about the lab activity. The lab activity will take you about 40 minutes to do. So all together this week, okay, I spent probably about 15 to 25, actual 15 to 25 hours this week, just studying and then putting in the work at the end. So if that is all that you need to do, my suggestion is once you get that done, get it knocked out. Even if you end up being late, I wanted to show you guys so that, okay, you can see here for those that are looking, okay, I just submitted my thing. So with the way that SNHU works, if your work is late, they will usually give you about a week. So that is covered in your syllabus. When you look at your syllabus, it will tell you that you are given, in essence, a week. So I'm pulling up, for those that are on the podcast, I am pulling up information on late submissions so that it's not the end of the world, okay? So it says here, instructors will post grades and feedback within 7 days of an assignment due date or within 7 days of a late submission. So late submissions, according to the late assignment policy, is meeting assigned due dates is critical for just demonstrating progress and ensuring review, basically for the instructor to review your work, okay? So they are expected for you to submit your work on time. But if for some reason you are late, it does happen. If it does happen, understand that there is something already in place for that. So a way that the catalog way is that you have a week to submit your work, okay? I'm showing on the website Southern New Hampshire's late assignment policy so that you understand you do have a week to submit that. Sometimes why your instructor doesn't get your work into you at the given time that you're expecting it back is because they still have students that are submitting the work late. So right now we have 2 more modules left. We have module 7, module 8. Okay, and then of course we're done with the class and we move on to our next course. But that is all for this week's work. Again, I would spend about between 15 and 25 just solid hours of work throughout the week. Don't do that all in one time. It'll just wear you out. But if you have any questions for me, please, all means, leave them inside the comment section below. I appreciate you guys writing and asking questions. I'm happy to answer anything that you need or that I can answer for you about the cybersecurity program, online, those type of things. I'm going to make a separate video specifically about what my system that I have, because there were some questions about what kind of system I would recommend for somebody who's going through this course. So I will make a separate video for that. That is all, my guys. I will talk to you guys later.